We're very proud and thrilled today to have announced the launch of our new project to build a state-of-the-art academy in the Dominican Republic. Obviously, this is a long time coming and a major milestone in this organization's commitment to a full and aggressive and correct approach to acquiring and developing international talent. A big part of our strategy going forward. It's a big part of being successful in Major League Baseball today, and we want to be at the forefront of doing that. And I think this facility will enable that and put our international players in the best position to not only succeed on the field, but receive the education, the language education, the cultural education that is necessary for success in life, even outside of baseball. And that's a big part of this as well. Since I've been here, updating the infrastructure of this organization has been priority number one, internationally in particular. And so for me and our front office, this is a huge milestone, knowing that this was a big checklist item for us. It's not an easy thing to do. It requires significant investment. And I thank our partnership group very dearly for their commitment to this and their willingness to embark on a project like this. Also want to thank a few people in the organization who put in a lot of the work to getting to the point that we are now. It's taken over 2 years just to get to this point. These are difficult processes, a lot of complicated preparation involved, and we still have a way to go with construction and so forth. But we've done a lot of great work so far, and certainly couldn't have done it without Kobe Perez and Felipe Rojas Alou and Mike Shapiro and others in our organization who have taken it to this point. Lastly, this is something I think that's very important for us in what we've set out to do, which is have an elite player development system from its inception, whether that's the July 2nd international market or the draft, and making sure that our players are receiving a first-rate development experience in terms of technology, education, and facilities, nutrition, we can't do that without the right facilities. So we have I think a first-rate, wonderful spring training complex here in Sarasota, and this will put our Dominican facility right on par with that, and really with anything out there.
Thanks, Mike. On this call, we are also joined by Orioles Senior Director of International Scouting, Kobe Perez, and Orioles Director of Dominican Republic Academy, Felipe Rojas Alou Jr. We'll now open it up to questions. If you can please put your name in the chat if you have a question, and also the person that you'd like to direct the question to, and we'll run through them. Dan Conley, if you'd like to start us off, you can go ahead.
This is specifically for Mike, but I wouldn't mind hearing either Kobe or Felipe also kind of chiming in on this. But Mike, since we haven't been at the Dominican facility, we've heard over the years that it is lacking. For comparison's sake, what were the limitations there that you feel like specifically will be improved with this facility?
I think in terms of the specific features, I'd like to let Felipe and Kobe discuss those. But our facility, our current facility has been fine, and it's in a good location. We have good neighbors, but we've been there a while. It's old, and the threshold for these across the league have risen, as have other demands in player development in terms of space and technology and living quarters. And so, we have, we continue to be content and make good use of our facility. But, as these things go, you tend to seek new situations as the years tick off. And so, we've done so. And, we've had a really good working relationship with our landowners where we are now, and we're looking forward to a similarly fruitful relationship with Brian Mejia, who's the landowner and developer of this project that we're really looking forward to working with.
Kobe, if you'd like to add something, you can too.
Yeah, everything Mike touched on is basically, I don't have much to add there. Space primarily is really important. As you know, these camps get big. The complex is a good place for the players to not only when we sign them and they're young, 17, 18-year-old kids, but it's also good for our big leaguers that are from the DR or Venezuela in the off season. So, I'm sure that everyone in the organization is going to benefit from having this new state-of-the-art facility.
A question from Mike from John Mioli.
Mike, how much do you expect that this facility is going to cost, and where in the organization has that money been earmarked from?
I think suffice it to say, it's a significant, multi-million-dollar investment. These projects are rightfully so. They command a good deal of resources, and that doesn't include operating and development expenses. And it's a major consideration for any team. But as I said, we're seeing it grow in importance across the league. Once this is complete, our closest neighbor is going to be the Cleveland Indians, who have a sparkling new complex. And they were very helpful and cooperative with us in preparing for this. And, Kobe used to work for them most recently. And so we look to that as a model. And again, this has been a priority for us, laying down infrastructure, laying down a foundation of young talent, of a pipeline that can continually produce young talent has been priority number one for our administration, so to speak. This is a big part of that. And I thank the partnership group for, prioritizing an expense like this over what's going to be, the next few years, not next few years, but next year or two of construction and us moving in.
Rich Dubroff, you're up.
Yeah, this is for Kobe and Felipe. How important is it when you're trying to sell the Orioles to young players? Is a complex like this, is a state-of-the-art complex?
I think it's really important. When you're negotiating with these players and their parents and their agents, they want to know where their son or where their player is going to be. And to be able to promote our complex and our player development system as one of the best is essential for us. And I'm glad that we took this step.
Felipe?
I think Kobe pretty much touched on it. And as Mike mentioned earlier, selling where we at to these kids and these scouts is huge. Where we are right now is fine. And I want to mention that you want to thank what these people have done for us throughout the years, but being able to present to these Wisconsinites and these families where their kids are coming to and what other areas we can offer to their lives, like it was mentioned also, good educational program, and having the structure to present that is huge to selling a player, bringing a player to your academy.
Nathan Ruiz with a question for Mike.
Mike, you mentioned that this has been in the works for over 2 years. Is this something that's been on your mind even when you're going through the hiring process with the Orioles? How long has this been in the works, and when did this idea really start to come to fruition for you?
I want to say it was within the first couple of weeks of being on the job that we started to investigate possibilities for improving our situation in the Dominican Republic, whether it was our current facility or looking for the next one. So this is something that jumped right in on from the get-go, along with other infrastructural projects that we've had and have going on across the organization. But this was a huge priority, and having experience there, having Kobe Perez's experience there, Felipe's experience has put us in a position to kind of have the context necessary to seek out the right solution for us for our next facility, which we think this will be.
Steve Molesky, you're up with a question for Kobe and Felipe.
For Kobe, how do you think this will help in the actual development of the players once it's in place, getting guys to improve? How will that help? And for Felipe, you've been with the Dominican staff for a long time. What will it mean to the longtime staff down there to have what you've had in the last year with player acquisition and then this facility?
Yeah, so our player development, Felipe and his group and Matt Blood and Ken Qualls, they do a fantastic job of developing these guys. And I think it just makes it so much easier with the state-of-the-art facility, some of the technology we're bringing in there. And again, the space, we're going to have 3 fields, an agility field. It just gives us, plenty of room for player development, strength and conditioning, and educational purposes. So, I think it's really beneficial for everyone involved, players and staff. I think it just really makes things a little bit easier for everyone.
Go ahead, Felipe.
Yeah, regards of our, player development and staffing that they are, it's been a long ways coming to finally, first of all, have the players. Over the last couple of years, starting with Mike, Kobe, and our scouting department now here has done a great job to bring in those assets and those players. And now, to have these guys and hopefully within the next year or so to have the facility to develop and maximize these players to the level that we want them. At the moment we're running a camp and we're pretty excited. We just brought the players that we just signed in mid-January, and we're really excited. So, as a Dominican staff and player development guy, really looking forward to bringing this talent to that, first class, top of the class facility.
Stan Charles, you're up with a question for Mike.
Mike, as somebody who's covered the team for close to 40 years, I want to congratulate you on how serious you've taken this endeavor, and it's really good to see. I'm wondering
Thank you.
I'm wondering in talking to ownership, a lot of times on a project this big, there's a return on investment that's, sort of needs to be quantified. Were you able to convince them on a real numerical basis on how many prospects you think you can bring up, or was it like, this is what we need to do to get in the game?
Yeah, it didn't take much convincing, Stan. I think that John Angelos and the partnership group, as we've been consistent about since I got here and just the last couple of years in this new era, that we are going to be focused and disciplined on laying down a sustainable foundation for a successful franchise in Baltimore. And we're going to roll up our sleeves and maybe go through some lumps here the next few years as we build up. But we'll be glad that we did this work when we get to that point, and it needed to be done. And we're transitioning from a period of time where we were maximizing every ability at the major league level, and now we need to reset for what's going to be the next great run here. And having facilities like this, having a scouting and player development apparatus that is first rate, is all mandatory towards running a first rate franchise. And as I said, I point to the Indians as a great example of what can be done, and they're going to be our next door neighbors here. I think that I think there's some symbolism to that for us. The way that they go about international scouting and player development is what we aspire to. We brought Kobe here from that organization, we look forward to joining ranks with those guys, and this is a huge step of that. And so I, as I said at the top, really commend the support that Kobe and I have gotten from this partnership group.
Next up, Dan Conley, question for Kobe.
Yeah, I guess anyone can answer this, but Kobe might be best for this. In the release, it says that once complete, the dormitories and such can house up to 100 players, staff, and coaches. How does that compare to what you guys have now? And will that allow you, Kobe, to maybe sign more players, maybe, you know, lesser money, but more players to take chances on because you have more space?
Yeah. You know, our facility right now, if I'm not mistaken, can house about 60 to 70 guys roughly. So this gives us a lot more space. One thing to consider is in the off season, you know, we not only have the DSL guys, but we also have, you know, our Latin players that play in, you know, A ball or AA or AAA or even the big leagues. You know, everyone wants to use the facility to you know, and use our staff to develop. So being that it's going to be so big and we're going to be able to have over 100 players is going to be a good opportunity to anyone who needs development and wants to come in. We got plenty of space and we have all the required needs for them to succeed.
Question from Nathan for Mike.
Mike, did the pandemic have any impact on the planning or timeline of this? Were there any concerns with those circumstances in terms of what that would mean for this project?
Yeah, it slowed it down a little bit, and it still might. You know, I imagine that it will continue to impact construction and government operations in the Dominican over the next year, and might cause some continued delays. But it slowed us down a little bit. It prevented us, obviously, from traveling back and forth as much as we'd like since this started. But you know, ultimately, we were able to get to this point despite that.
Question for Mike and Felipe from Marley Rivera. Go ahead, Marley.
Hi, everyone. I apologize. I'm at the ballpark, so maybe a little loud. Mike, a few, and the same thing for Felipe, a few teams have inaugurated or remodeled their DR academies recently. From the top of my head, I think the Dodgers, the Rangers, they've done so in the last couple of years. So do you consult with other teams in terms of what has worked and what hasn't and what benefits the players the most?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're all competing with one another in this league, in this business, but there's certain areas where, you know, we all cooperate when it's for the overall good of the industry, and everyone having the best facilities, everyone kind of hiring the right people is all something that we try to help one another with. And like I said, Cleveland in particular was extremely helpful during this process. The St. Louis Cardinals were extremely helpful. I'm sure Kobe can name others that I'm forgetting. The Phillies, the Rockies, there were a lot of teams that really helped give us guidance during this. I think that the recent kind of run of these renovations or new projects, it's twofold. I mean, everyone is seeing the importance of baseball coming out of Latin America and all the stars coming out of Latin America, but also, you know, this kind of kicked off 20 to 30 years ago in terms of the complex system down there really getting going in earnest. So, you know, it's just around the time where the buildings are coming of age for new projects too. But, you know, we're excited to be joining with this run of new complexes. And I think it's going to be, you know, one of the best.
All right. Any final questions for Mike, Kobe, or Felipe? All right. Well, that will end things with Mike, Kobe, and Felipe. If you three would like to stay on, we'll be joined by Ramon Alarcón, and we'll stay for the Spanish-speaking version. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Marley.
I'll take care of this. So it's like, primero que nada, empezando con Kobe. Kobe, cuéntame un poco del proceso, de cómo llegó esto todo a fruición, con quiénes ustedes hablaron y cómo se dio todo.
Sí, buena pregunta. Nosotros empezamos hace más de 2 años el proceso de evaluar la situación con respecto a la academia. Gracias a Dios y a nuestro equipo de trabajo, de los dueños a la gerencia, pudimos ejecutar esta situación. Nosotros consultamos con, yo diría que 10 o 12 equipos que recientemente han hecho academia y hicimos muchas preguntas. usamos todos los contratistas y todo la persona que incluye en una construcción y tratamos de conseguir el mejor grupo de trabajo y creemos que eso fue lo que pudimos hacer.
Do you want me to wait for a translation for Mike, or should I keep going? It's entirely up to you guys.
Yeah, Ramon, if you could help translate for Mike.
Sure. So she asked, who did you guys get in touch with before embarking on this new project? Have you consulted with any of the other teams? How was that process for us?
My usual. Felipe, cuando uno está organizando este tipo de academia, este proyecto que es algo tan grande, todas las consideraciones que tienen que haber, por ejemplo, ¿verdad? Las consideraciones culturales, las consideraciones de espacio, cómo uno evalúa eso, con quién uno habla, uno incluso lo discute con los mismos peloteros. So I'm just asking Felipe about the fact, just how do they develop, you know, the ideas, you know, do you consult even with your own players as to what is really needed in these cases?
Sí, buenas tardes, Marilyn. Nada, uno primero que todo consulta con nuestros dueños, que son las personas que están embarcando este proyecto, cuál sería la magnitud de lo que queremos hacer, de la estructura que queremos formar. Yo pienso que ya desde o de la mano con el plan de hacer esta academia, también hicimos nuestra diligencia en las cosas que todavía necesitábamos incluir, que nos hacían falta en la organización, como un programa sólido y bien estructurado de educación, del espacio de la academia, de las necesidades, por ejemplo, recreativas de los jugadores, de las necesidades de los coaches que se quedan aquí en la academia, nuestras necesidades en la cocina, en los comedores y todas esas cosas. E inclusive, posiblemente inconscientemente, uno recibe mucha información de los peloteros, porque ellos son los que están aquí, tú dirías, a tiempo completo, y ellos son los muchachos que recomiendan de algunas situaciones en las que ellos viven en el día a día, y tú abrazas esos comentarios, esas situaciones, los tienes en mente, y entonces ya así a la hora de tú poner todas estas cosas juntas, la incluyen. También tengo que decir que fue un trabajo en conjunto, ya por más de un año se han estado haciendo varias reuniones que incluyen abogados, que incluyen consultores, que incluyen personas de diferentes departamentos, para asegurarnos que todas estas áreas están cubiertas para que esta estructura de por sí sea una cultura de primera clase.
Then I'll just ask one last question to both of you, to both Felipe and Kobe. And I'll ask it in English and Spanish if you don't mind answering in both. What does it say about the Orioles, the type of investment that they have made in the Dominican Republic? This has been a really, really tough time for all organizations, and this is a major investment. ¿Qué dice de los Orioles, verdad? Que se está haciendo esta inversión tan grande económica, ¿verdad? De muchos millones en República Dominicana en un momento que es tan difícil para tantas organizaciones.
Sí, tú sabes, en esta situación con el coronavirus, son todo el dinero que se tiene que considerar. Y tú sabes, estamos muy agradecidos con la organización de los Orioles por darnos esta oportunidad. Mike Elias y los dueños del equipo definitivamente no dejaran que la pandemia parara eso. Recuerdo un email que mandaron del equipo de senior leadership que decía, vamos para adelante, porque esto es muy importante para la organización y es algo que nos hace sentir muy bien y tenemos que tratar de sacar el mayor beneficio. So basically, even during the difficult COVID times, we've been, we've kept going. I remember getting an email from senior leadership and said, we're going to do this. Nothing's going to stop us. It's really important to ownership and our senior leadership team. And, we're definitely glad that, they made that decision. And, now we got to get this finished and start producing the players we think we can do.
Sí, creo que COVID tocó prácticamente todo, pero esto lo que hace es fortalecer el compromiso que trae Mike Elias a la organización de asegurarse de que nuestra presencia en este mercado, en esta estructura internacional, sea real y sea fuerte. Y como dijo Kobe, o sea, no paramos, simplemente nos aguantamos un poquito porque definitivamente la pandemia nos tocó a todos, pero todo el mundo estaba ahí dando el soporte y asegurando de que sí, de que íbamos a continuar con esta inversión y definitivamente bien emocionado y viendo hacia adelante para ya moverlo y compartir, ser parte de ella. I mean, this definitely just strengthened the commitment that Mike Elias brought. I mean, as he mentioned earlier, I mean, this just kind of slowed it down a little bit. And I know Kobe touched on basically everything, but I mean, just the commitment and support, saying yes, we're gonna get through this. I know the pandemic it's hit us all from different ways. But knowing that we still have the support and we're moving forward, there's a great feeling, and really looking forward to move and be there and and continue or the development for those players.